Good evening, everyone. Just a moment to remind you to silence your cell phones, please. Thank you. So there are all kinds of drones these days. Some are friendly and some not so friendly. And tonight we're going to hear about the friendly and helpful kind. Montgomery County Council member Don Ludke and County Police Captain Tony Galladora are here to tell us about the Drone as First Responder initiative in our county. These drones are an important public safety device and have been used to help our local police department with response to thefts, trespassing, and other incidents requiring quick action. So I'm really happy we're going to have a chance to learn more about this initiative, and please welcome Don and Tony. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us here tonight, and I want to thank Captain Galladora for being here with me, because he did all the research and such behind this, but what I like to talk about is the sort of the public-facing parts of this, or the how to get a community to understand what it is in regular people speak, not in law enforcement or legalese, and understanding and respecting that people might find drones to be intense, or you may have a child or a grandchild who got one for Christmas and it lasted all of 20 minutes until they flew it into a tree. I can assure you ours are a little more sturdy. And much more expensive. Won't be getting one for Christmas. We don't have one here tonight, right? We do not, okay. Sorry. But they are about, to put it in perspective, our drones that we're gonna talk about tonight that we use in this program here in Montgomery County are about the size of a desk printer, so. And they weigh about 20 pounds, yeah. And I believe they are strong enough to carry my little Shih Tzu, I think. They can load bear about the size of a Shih Tzu. Don't worry, no dogs were ever harmed with this device. But I want to talk about it because it's meant a great deal to our county. Sorry, that's us. It's meant a great deal to our county to be able to have this program in place, especially at a time when I know it's no surprise we're suffering from a lack of officers, right? We're a county of 1.1 million people. We're over 500 square miles. And just the other day when we were having a hearing on snow and snow removal, I was looking us up compared to the size of the Greater Toronto metro region, and we're pretty comparable in size and scope, and hopefully not in snow in the future. But we have authorized about 1,300 sworn officers. That means that's how many we have that we could fill if we had the people to do the jobs. We're down about anywhere from 180 to 200 officers at a time, and it's been consistently that way ever since I've been on the council. So when you're thinking about what can we do to help both our officers work better and smarter, and also help our public be safer, and we're going to talk about what this means in terms of de-escalation or helping get officers back out on the road when they get these calls, this has been what we would call a force multiplier and a tremendous asset to Montgomery County. So, and Raven, just so you know, Raven is what we call the devices, right?
Yep, that's their call sign on the radio, is the Raven drone.
Raven drones, and they're numbered based on the district in which they sit. So we have Raven 2, Raven 3, Raven 4, and Raven 6 is up here near you all. Yeah. All right, let's see if I can get it to play.
Montgomery County 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Raven 1, we're overhead. We have eyes on the subject.
I'm going to pass this off to Tony to walk us through some of the tech stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So again, thank you for having us so much. As we mentioned, staffing's an issue for us, and even though we're down officers, we know when the phone rings at the 911 center and there's an emergency, the expectation is still very high, and you want us to get there quickly and make good decisions. So for me, the reason why I'm here and why I think it's so important to do things like this is if I can't come to a community group like this and explain what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it and what the protections are in place, then I don't think we should be doing it. So I appreciate the invitation to be here and really glad we get to have this conversation. So who has heard of our DFR program, our Drone as First Responder program, before this conversation? Okay. Only one or two? So what's really neat about this, and this is obviously a wordy definition, this isn't even just a drone kind of in the trunk of a car that we send out there, like we kind of similar to a canine model. This is a totally different paradigm shift in how we're doing it. These are drones that are turned on rooftops in our areas that have high calls for service, and they're 100% ready to go. And when a 911 call comes in and we think the drone can be helpful, the drone can take off and we can send it there with an officer monitoring in real time well before an officer on the ground gets there. So if you think we're sitting there, we're driving there in a police car and taking the drone out of the back seat and putting it up, that's minutes and many minutes down the road. This is something that we're getting there much faster. So when we put this together, some of the things we were looking at doing was improving our response times. I think to everybody, if you call 911, that response time is very important to you. And again, we're facing staffing challenges, and we want to make sure we're getting there quickly. And feel free to jump in if there's anything. Resource efficiencies. What we found is a lot of 911 calls, maybe not a lot, it's 15%, but we can send a drone there. It can see what's going on, and there's times where we go, maybe we don't have to send an officer on the ground. So perfect example, just a few days ago, there was a call for maybe some kids fighting in front of a school. The drone got there before the call was even dispatched. There was nothing going on. There was nobody injured. There's an officer in the drone room that will call the 911 caller and say, hey, I know you just called 911 a second ago. Do you still see where they are? Is anybody hurt? Do you still need any assistance? Is there anything else we can do? And when they say, oh, no, I was worried that they were going to fight or it was going to escalate, they go, all right, thank you. If anything changes, call us back. And then we were able to get on the radio and say, hey, we don't need to send officers on the ground there. So we put 2 police units in service. So that's a big deal for us when you're facing a staffing challenge. That drone on the way back to its landing pad, there was a call for a theft in progress, and it located the person leaving the shopping mall and was able to direct those officers that probably would have been going to that call where they weren't needed. They were then able to go apprehend that person and recover the property and charge them. So really, really cool concepts for us.
And while he's switching sides, want to point out, and a lot of the calls are for crime in progress, and the drone does respond to crimes in progress. So it's not going to, if your wallet got stolen and you call 3 hours later, there's no drone coming. Nothing's coming. But it also goes out for life safety calls, right? So we may have children with autism who elope, who end up near bodies of water, for example, or someone who is a risk to their own safety and may be suicidal. That has happened, and the drone has gone out, located the person who has left their home when their loved ones called to say, we're afraid they're going to hurt themselves, and officers and EMS have been able to get there and stop that from happening and get them to the hospital and to the help that they need. So it helps in a broad array of things, but they are all what we call in the moment active emergency situations.
Yep. Exactly. We're providing real-time intelligence. So again, this drone's getting there so fast in many cases because they're a big part of this is that they're placed strategically near a lot of calls for service. So some of the ones, particularly in Wheaton and Silver Spring, as the drone is taking off, it can already see the building that people are calling about. So again, there's a huge difference in public safety. You know, if you saw somebody fighting or you saw a crime in progress and you called 911 and it took 4 minutes to get there, in 4 minutes somebody can go really far in an urban environment. But if we're taking off at the same time and getting overhead in 90 seconds, well, guess what? They're not several blocks away. They're either right there or in very close proximity to the call. So it's been incredible for that. De-escalations, we've had cases where we had a person in a mental health crisis. They were in front of a 7-Eleven, and they were holding what looked like a gun, and they were pointing it at people in a very aggressive manner. And a citizen called and said, "Hey, this person looks like they're holding a gun in front of the 7-Eleven." Of course, we're sending a bunch of officers. The officers are on very high alert. They don't want to get hurt either. They know that, this could escalate very, very quickly. And in that case, the drone got there ahead of time, and they saw the person acting very erratically and doing these weird movements. But then they saw at one point, they took it towards their hand, and it was a cell phone. They were scrolling on their cell phone. So what looked to be a weapon to one person, to the citizen that called, it was actually a cell phone, and they were able to relay that to the responding officer, and it takes the temperature down on that call tremendously. Incredibly important for absolutely everybody involved. In a similar fashion, we had, it was a shoplifting. The security guard calls and says, "There's a bunch of people in here. They're loading up property in duffel bags. This is going downhill real fast. Please send the police." Drone got overhead before they exited the store, followed them. We were able to call the store while the drone's following them. They said, "Was it the 5 guys that just left and now they made a left and they're going over here?" They go, "That's 100% them." And while we're watching them, we're seeing them taking property out, the stolen property out, confirming it's them. And when the first officer approaches them, they take off running. They drop all the property. So the officer, instead of chasing them through a downtown urban area, stays with the property. But the drone was able to follow 2 of them for several blocks while they're running around like fools. And when they make it a few blocks away, we had an officer waiting for them when they popped out of the alley. 100% on video the whole time. No officer had to chase anybody. We didn't have to run anybody over. Perfect de-escalation for us, and absolutely caught the right people.
I've even seen some of the videos where the person's running and then they get tired, or they think they're far enough that they don't need to run anymore, and they don't realize that it's above them, watching them. And so they go from their sprint to the, "I'm getting winded," to "I'm just gonna trot around this corner, I'm good now," and you're not. And the drone is there and has filmed the whole thing.
And for us, not only are we catching the bad guys and the people that are doing criminal acts, we're also not stopping somebody else that maybe wasn't involved that just matches the description. So, the folks I was just telling you about, they take off running, and maybe without the drone, maybe an officer a few blocks away in the other direction stops somebody that matches the description. Well, you don't have that if the drone's following absolutely the right people. So huge for us. So I kind of described this briefly, but this is how it works. The drone is literally turned on, powered up on the rooftop, ready to go, but we're flying every location, and we're operating usually 4 locations at a time. We're operating them from one central office. So one officer could grab any one of those drones and fly it in any one of those locations. So really cool. We're flying it remotely right now.
See, I told you they weren't that big. And they can launch right off of there. I forget the battery life on them. You probably know better than I do.
They save 50 minutes, but that's with all the safety features and everything else. Realistically, we get about 30 minutes of flight time out of it.
Right. And they have docking stations now, yes?
We're in the process of transitioning to docks soon.
I've seen the docking station, and I've seen the demo of the one with the docking station, and it has better maps too, which is also an awesome feature. But this is where they reside, and like I said, we've got 4 rooftops where they operate off of now: Bethesda, downtown Silver Spring, Wheaton, and Gaithersburg. And that is the command center. See, look, it's got a whole 2 chairs and a trash can in the middle. It's not nearly as opulent or as exciting as someone might think, but it gets a lot done. So there's a lot of screens going all at the same time. In the middle, if you look at the screens that are in the middle that have the multicolor that don't look like maps, that's where the 911 calls are coming in, and they can see what the call type is and what's going on, and how then they pick them up to then determine which ones get priority for the drones.
Yeah, so a big part of our whole program in general is transparency, and we want you to know not only what we're doing, but what we're using. So this is the drone that we're using. As we mentioned earlier, it's about 20 pounds. It says it can fly 51 miles an hour. With all the safety features, we're really flying closer to 33 miles an hour. We're always flying under 400 feet, and they're not loud. When we first started talking about this, there was a lot of concern, especially there's issues on the river with the airplanes, the large airplanes, and we have had 0 complaints to my knowledge about the noise.
0. Have gotten 0 complaints. And they are incredibly quiet, very much so. No louder than a small portable oscillating fan. Kind of what it would sound like. Is that a good description? And important to note that I did mention it has a camera, right? And you've seen the camera in action in that earlier video, and you're going to get to see some more videos of it. And we'll talk, I think it might be the next slide, about no, not yet, okay. But community engagement and community concerns, right? There's a lot of, well, what can it see, or what can it do? So under Maryland law, we're one of the few jurisdictions that still requires 2-party consent for recording audio, okay, in what would be a private place or a place where you were not expecting that you could be overheard by another. And so the drones have video footage that they capture, but they do not have any audio capability whatsoever, none at all. However, body cameras that officers wear, like Tony's got right here, they do have audio. And so what happens is when you're taking the footage like you saw, or like he described of the theft with the shopping bags full of stuff and the 2 guys that they were able to grab, they'll have the video footage of the drone showing them fleeing the store, carrying the merchandise they just stole, running away, dropping the merchandise, going around the corner, getting stopped. From the time the officer on patrol or officers are there, they're en route to the call, they're activating, they've got their dash cameras on, then their body-worn cameras on. The body-worn camera does record audio. So in a trial, if you're thinking about how does this play out in the judicial system, then they're going to see the video footage of the drone and them exiting the store with all the things they just stole, and then they're going to get to hear and see from the on-the-ground perspective when the officers are there, because the body-worn camera footage is also used. And the footage for both is maintained in the same ways and retained in terms of how evidence is logged and how long it gets kept for. So there's all the same protocols in place for both types of digital evidence. Hope that covered it.
So this is just how long it takes to process a 911 call. And the only reason we put this up here is because we want you to understand when the drone gets there in 90 seconds or 70 seconds, why it's so impactful. So this is, if it takes maybe 10 seconds for the phone to be answered sometimes at the 911 center. And then it can take them about 2.5 minutes, depending on what's going on, for you to say, hey, I'm at, 301 Odenhall, and somebody just knocked me down and stole my purse. They go, okay, can you confirm the address? And then they go, can you give me your phone number and what's your name? And then tell me what happened. And they're typing all this stuff in, and then it gets sent to a dispatcher, and then they'll categorize it and they'll dispatch officers to it. And all that can take 2 to 3 minutes conservatively, right? Well, what this technology does is we actually use a software called Live 911, where if the drone is able to respond to that area, we can hear your conversation with the 911 call taker in real time. So if you call 911 and say, somebody just knocked me down and they took my purse, we can see where that cell phone is only specifically while you're on the phone with 911. And we already know where to go and generally what's going on. And based on that alone, we can launch the drone and send it to you. So we are saving minutes off this response time by doing this very innovative program that is kind of in addition or layer on top of the drone.
So we did proactively have folks go out and engage with the community. Before the first 2 sites that launched were Silver Spring and Wheaton, sites 3 and 4, or districts 3 and 4. And there you see Commander Coquinos from the 3rd district at a community meeting talking about the program and explaining and wanting to hear what were residents' concerns or questions or worries or fears or suggestions. And all of that got taken to heart. And all of that followed a very, very lengthy process in which I know Captain Galladora was very intimately involved, working with the American Civil Liberties Union to make sure that they felt like privacy concerns were being appropriately addressed, not just in the confines of the Constitution, right, but like in other ways. And frankly, these days we do need to be a little bit deeper and more intentional about that, especially when not everybody feels as strongly about the Constitution as I might, or as Captain Galladora might. And so taking these drones out on the road, out into the community to get that feedback, and then what happened from there was other communities saying, well, why don't we have one? And when are we getting one? I got a lot of that, of where there's no drone in the Up County. Where is the Up County drone? And so they also needed to explain why the drones only had a certain radius that they could fly, right? Because we are so close to DC that some of the areas we fly in are more restricted. So even though the drone up here can fly, I think it's 3 miles, or just about 3 miles radius, the ones down county cannot. They're restricted to a 1.2 mile radius, right? So we have to go through, and we pay for it, you do it, through the process of making sure that everything was buttoned up and tight with the FAA, with all the right permissions and protocols in place to make sure this is working. And up here, the big concern was, okay, well, what about that air park? What about the airplanes that are coming in over there? And everything is all copacetic with the air park, so.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, and actually there's one bullet point on there too, that we had what we thought was the best policy, and the specific one I'm talking about is we thought, like our body cameras, when we get dispatched a call, we turn our body camera on, and we don't turn it off until the end of the call. So we thought that's what people would want with the drone, that we would record at the beginning of the call, and then we would turn it off when it landed, and if there was ever a complaint about what the drone was doing, there's a whole video that could be used and reviewed and everything.
Right.
And when we got into the weeds and had these conversations, we realized the expectation was, no, we think it would be better if you only recorded when you were on the scene of a call and not
Right.
on your way to and not on your way from. And we said, okay, we looked at it totally different, but that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. If that's what you want, no problem. So we amended some of our initial policy recommendations based on the input from these meetings.
Yep. And this is just, the department maintains a website, like with pages that are devoted just to this program, so that you can go on and see the statistics, and you can go on and you can see the flights that have been run and the calls served. So if I think it's on the next slide, it shows sort of what it looks like with the different maps and the times that it flew. So if somebody's wondering, something happened in my neighborhood and I saw a lot of police presence, I wonder if the drone was there. They can go on the website and they can check it out, because all that gets posted within a certain number of hours. It's like within a day, but it's usually much faster than that, as I understand it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly right. So we've flown over 4,000 calls for service on that last slide. If you were like, hey, I want to know exactly what types of calls you're flying for and things like that, you can go to our website, and all of that is on there. And then if you saw the drone fly over us, and by the way, you're absolutely within the area of one of our circles right here.
Yes.
If you saw it fly over tonight and you go, I wonder what they were doing, or I wonder where they went to, or what was going on, you can go to our website. We initially said within a day. Realistically, it's usually within an hour.
Yeah, it's been going up much faster.
And you could see exactly where the drone flew to. It will give you the call number. We're about to get to the slide, I think, with some of the rules and protections, but it will be related to a 911 call for service. It will say where we went to, and we usually do it to the nearest 100 block, so we're not putting a specific house number
Right.
on there. And then what we got a call for this, or we overheard an assault call or whatever, and we'll put that in there and what the outcome was for every single flight.
And these are the really key points, right? I mentioned earlier that does not respond to occurred earlier. Happened hours ago, drone's not coming. But really important, they do not patrol. They do not look for things. They are only dispatched in response to a 911 call for service for an active, ongoing incident that requires a response. The camera going being up to and from the call and only being down and recording once it's on scene. No facial recognition. No facial recognition technology is used. Nothing is saved or scanned or whatever for that. There's state law on that too, but I know that's a common question that we get. And like I said, we treat this at the same from an evidentiary purpose in terms of both how it's treated, it's the way it would be treated in court as how it gets introduced, as well as how it is stored, chain of custody, and maintained.
And I could just make one more comment. So I don't know if anybody here has any extensive military experience or has family in the military, but there were some people that thought we could see through walls or do things that were like $800 million military aircraft or things like that. We're using commercially available aircraft that anybody could buy themselves. This is not military technology. These aren't Predators. There's no missiles. I should have put that up there.
No.
There's no weapons on any of these. These are commercially available drones.
Yes. Oh, I talked about this part. So, like I said, there's the different flight restrictions, and also all the officers who work in this program have undergone specialized training to become certified pilots, and that's a very intensive thing. And actually, a lot of people in the department have wanted to become pilots now because they think the program is really, really cool. And so there are folks who work in that room that you saw where they're monitoring things, and then they take over the call once the drone has been dispatched. But they also work in other areas of our department too. So they'll staff the drone room on certain times, and they might work as, like, Eli's a detective, right? So he does accident reconstruction. But he also is a drone pilot. So, you know, it's fun. No, I don't remember which one this is.
We'll find out together.
Okay. Ooh, this is a fun one, and you'll hear Tony talking on this one too, because he's the drone pilot who takes over the call.
Yeah, so this audio is actually synced up if we hear it.
Thursday staff at Dave & Buster's, 8661 Colesville Road, 8661 Colesville Road. Angel Garcia is your complainant. Looks like they found the person who stole their wallet. This is in progress. No known weapons. Suspect, a black female.
So it's a little hard to hear, but they're dispatching a call for a theft in progress.
Looks like the staff locked
A
the
guy
doors
had his
to the
wallet
Dave &
stolen,
Buster's, so
and
they
he
should
found the
still be
person that
inside.
stole it because
Caller
they're using the
advised
credit
they could
cards
see her
at
with
the
wallet.
mall
She said
and
she would give
confronts
it
her.
back, but they left her alone, but now she's refusing.
And he calls 911 and he says, I found the person that stole my wallet. They're in the mall, and I'm trying to get the security guards to detain them. So what gets dispatched is that she's being detained by the security guards. But while the 911 dispatcher is saying that, she's really running across the street, not at all detained and fleeing the scene. But we were overhead and hearing it in real time and knew exactly where she
For the
was.
Dave & Buster's staff, we have eyes on the suspect. She fled, and she's northbound on Colesville,
With a
north of
suitcase.
Fenton.
And a pink sweater. She was very noticeable.
So we
And Raven
We
One
didn't
is
know it
your
at the
personal
time, but we found out she was buying a bunch of stolen stuff with a credit card, and she had to buy a suitcase with the stolen credit card to put all the
Stuff in.
stolen stuff in the
She's
suitcase.
Stuff
at
in the
Colesville and Fenton next to the mattress firm.
Look, she was pragmatic.
Copy, Colesville, sitting next to the mattress firm, George 16 or 17 direct.
Andre, I got 13 and 14 with me. 17 wants to go to see what we have.
So it's a little hard to hear, but basically, it's the audio is just the officers kind of coordinating how they're going to respond to this
George 17
area
direct.
with the drone pilot giving updates.
And Raven, when we talk to the complainant right now, I think you have enough for a theft under stop. She's on Fenton at Roeder.
Yeah, and that's kind of hard to hear, but it's a very important part. The officers in the drone room actually called the 911 caller, confirmed the charges, confirmed that we had a good crime, that this was the person that did it. They said, is she the one standing over at this corner, still running away? They said, yes, that's her.
Parking garage, code 1 female, pink sweatshirt, pulling a suitcase.
And they're still giving updates. So if you happen to be wearing a pink sweatshirt and didn't steal any wallets that day nearby, you didn't get stopped because they knew exactly who they were going for.
I love this part where the car stops and then has to roll backwards.
Yeah, 16 out there.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, my author.
225.
And Raven 1, direct the complaint is direct to standby for officers once this gets stabilized.
Raven 1 copy.
Notice nobody was running. Very calm. There you go. So that was a success story, an early success story. And this is the news story you wanted to play, yes?
Never seen the
Now
videos
to
on
a
screen
major
this big,
first
so
for
this is kind of
Montgomery
impressive
County.
for me,
Police
right?
and
It's a lot.
prosecutors
All
were
right.
able to
Do I
secure a
play again?
conviction in a violent criminal case thanks to evidence from a drone camera.
We're going to show you some of that video, but we want to warn you, you may find it disturbing. According to the Montgomery County State's Attorney, a police drone captured this assault as it was happening, and it helped lead to a quick arrest. News 4's Walter Morris explains how the new tool is changing crime-fighting efforts.
Now you have video proof in real time. Technology can keep you safer.
This is video from a new high-tech tool that's transforming local law enforcement. Montgomery County Police say April 17th, a drone captured a violent assault on Georgia Avenue near Sligo in Silver Spring. Thanks to this eye in the sky, cops were able to catch the suspect within minutes.
Watching him take the knife out of his pocket, watching him stab another human being, and then the drone followed him as he walked away and directed the police officers to the area 2 blocks away where he was apprehended.
Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy speaking with News 4 after securing a conviction in the case. Friday, his office releasing edited video with highlights of the important moment. Prosecutors say it shows Jovan Ali stabbing a man around 7:30 p.m. and then taking off.
It helps the police react faster and keeps them safer.
McCarthy says the video was more than enough to convince a jury to convict Ali this week, with the sentencing set for early December. The guilty verdict marks a major milestone for Montgomery County.
This is the first time we've gotten a conviction before a jury in Montgomery County using drones, which were absolutely essential to the case.
County leaders say this case is proof that the new police drone as first responder program is a game changer, allowing officers to monitor situations as they happen.
And there are restrictions to protect your personal privacy, at the same time make us all a lot safer.
In Montgomery County, Walter Morris.
It's transformative.
News 4.
At the same time make us all a lot safer.
In Montgomery County, Walter Morris.
It's transformative.
News 4.
That might be one more.
Oh.
I hope you like the success stories because we got a few now.
On November 15, 2024, Montgomery County Police received a call for a suspicious situation in the area of East Wayne Avenue and Sligo Creek Parkway, Silver Spring, Maryland, in the 3rd District. The caller reported that someone was grinding something with a grinder near the Purple Line construction, and there were sparks observed coming from the area.
Raven 1.
Raven.
Hey, reference that call on East Wayne at Sligo Creek Parkway. The disturbance nuisance call. We're watching a subject trying to break into some Connex containers. We're overhead right now.
The MCPD drone as a first responder, DFR, Raven 1, responded and began to canvass the area. While checking the area, Raven 1 observed a subject using power tools to grind the lock in order to gain entry into a shipping container. A few minutes later, Raven 1 observed the subject defeat the lock, entering the container.
Raven 1, we're watching him right now. He's got some power tools. He's going at the door right now of this container, trying to break in. I'd say he's about 150 feet to 200 feet west of Sligo Creek Parkway, on the southbound side of Wayne. And for units, he just got it open and he went inside the container.
Direct. Suspects in the container now at 2228.
Raven 1 was able to maintain overwatch of the area, with the subject still inside the container. As patrol officers and a canine unit arrived on scene, Raven 1 guided the officers to the scene where the subject exited the container and was placed into custody.
Georgetown back. We're going to go with second-degree burglary charges. Canines on scene, about ready to make announcements here. All units be advised, restricted air, getting restricted air for George 10, 2242. George 10, you can lift the air, he's in custody.
Further investigation revealed that the subject's vehicle was also in the area and that a welder from the construction site was stolen and hooked up to the vehicle. The subject also had an outstanding felony warrant from Virginia for grand larceny. The subject was transported to the Montgomery County Central Processing Unit, CPU, and charged with second-degree burglary and related charges.
So those are 3 examples of cases that you've seen the drone come in handy on. And again, this has shown that it's been working since we started the program a little over 2 years ago now. It's been highly effective. Now we finally have had a case go to a jury because the other cases have ended in pleas. I mean, why wouldn't you when it's got all that evidence? And we've had a lot of success, and I look forward to the continued success of this program and continued collaboration with our department on using technology as a force multiplier to keep us and our officers safe. With that, we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
I think we answered them all.
While they're getting their microphones ready, I'll tell you, I don't normally have such awesome footwear. I had double foot surgery last Tuesday, and I just got my stitches out this morning, so I'm happy I can flop around in these, but I'll be really happy on Sunday when I don't have to wear them anymore and can use sneakers, so. She's coming for you. Yep.
Hi. So that's a 24-hour operation, 7 days?
Nope.
Oh.
Right now, we're about 5 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. We didn't put it in here, but we are looking to upgrade and convert to a dock-based solution, and the council also authorized a bunch of civilian pilots last budget cycle, so we're in the process of onboarding them. So our hours and days are going to expand greatly in the coming months.
And you can estimate what days and times of the day would be most sensitive, yeah?
So currently, usually noon to midnight. Don't tell the bad guys. But usually noon to midnight, and then we kind of rotate our days. And that was based off a data analysis we did to see when we thought the calls for service were.
Call volume, and types of calls. Yep. To be most appropriate.
Some of your drone images are in black and white and some in color.
Yep.
What's the difference?
Yeah, so the ones that were black and white, that was the thermal camera.
Oh.
So that one's looking off the heat. And some of those, it was pitch black. Actually, the one where you saw the guy smash the window breaking into a car, right after he does that, he goes through an alley, completely pitch black. You couldn't see a thing in there. And we switch it to thermal, and you see him clear as day in that black and white scale, walking through and to his eventual arrest location. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So these guys on my back.
Could you tell us
Yep. Hi.
Could you tell us the cost of these drones and how common is this across the country in terms of other police departments utilizing drones?
So the drones cost about $35,000 each. And when we started our program, Tony and some other folks from our department had gone out to 2 smaller jurisdictions in California that had programs already. Beverly Hills, and Chula Vista, California. So then when Montgomery County started its program, we were the largest jurisdiction in the country at that time that started a program like this, right? Both in terms of sheer geography covered and number of people served in the county. Since then, Tony's gone on a bit of a roadshow all around the country, and other officers from our department who've been involved with this, helping other jurisdictions who want to do similar things. We've gone and talked at the Maryland Association of Counties conference about this with other jurisdictions in Maryland that are looking to do similar things, and to figure out their cost-benefit analysis. I mean, we have such vast geography here, right? And the district I represent in the county is half of the ag reserve. We don't need a drone in the ag reserve. There's nothing happening out there that would benefit from this, right? But, where we have some areas where particularly getting a patrol car in is gonna take some time due to traffic, due to congestion. We've got tall buildings, and the call volume itself, this is incredibly helpful, right? Because it can get around faster in ways that a vehicle cannot.
Thank you very much for this informative presentation, and for the fact that you did actively consider civil liberties and privacy and constitutional rights in setting it up. My question is, I see this heavy drone sitting on top of a building. And then I consider the snowstorm that we've just had and the ice and the snow building up on it. And what happens in that case? And of course, there are other situations with high wind.
Yeah.
What kind of resistance to weather conditions are there built into the system?
Yep. So great points. We're absolutely weather dependent, and the drone itself can fly in rain and snow and things and very wide weather temperatures. We choose not to when the weather's bad for safety. Just we buffer a very large margin of error into our safety. So if the weather's bad, we don't fly. If it's high winds, we don't fly. And we, just like a piloted aircraft, Maryland State Police helicopter, if the winds are really bad, they're not going to fly either. So we are very much weather dependent. And there are some legal requirements as far as visibility and things like that as well. Yeah. So
they're not going to fall off the building because they.
No.
Right.
Yeah. So right now, because they're not in docks, they're literally at night when we are done our shift, we pack them up and we bring them inside.
They have little suitcases.
Yeah. So they're only on the roof turned on when we're operational and staffed and ready to go. In bad weather, we pull them in and just like you would a helicopter in a hangar, we bring them inside and they sleep comfortably inside. And then when the storm passes, we put them back out.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, what information does the 911 caller need to provide in order to send the drone to the correct place?
Yep. Yeah, so we don't interfere with the 911 process at all. So, they would provide their address and basically what's going on. The only difference is while that traditional call taking process is happening, if the drone operator hears that call and thinks the drone could add value to that situation, then they can take off based on the location of the cell phone and what the caller's saying.
Using the live 911 that we talked about, because that's something that our ECC emergency call center 911 receivers, if you will, they use that too. Like they can help when the calls come in. Live 911 is helping them too. So even if the caller, like, what if it's not at your house, right? Or it's not at a restaurant you go to a lot, and what if you're not from Montgomery County and you stumbled in here and something's going wrong? So it doesn't matter because the live 911 will ping to where you are based on the caller's phone.
I started as a skeptic and have been following it and am completely in favor of it now. I think you've handled all of that beautifully. Before I make my statement, the location of these is not secret, is it? Because I was about to encourage people who live particularly in Diamond to look out to the west. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It's absolutely fascinating. It's
you
on
might see something.
It's on. You'll see it go up and down all the. It's on the top of Forest Oak apartment building on 355, due west of Diamond, and it's there 4 or 5 nights a week. It goes up, it goes off, it comes back. It's absolutely fascinating.
Well, now the cat's out of the bag.
Just don't tell the bad guys again
Yeah, don't
where
tell
it
that
is.
where it
It's
is.
just among us friends here.
How is this vehicle powered, and how long can it fly before it has to be recharged or refueled?
Yeah, so it's electric power with batteries, and it just plugs into a standard outlet. You know, the charger plugs into a standard outlet to recharge. And when they claim 50 minutes or 55 minutes. Realistically, with all the safety factors in, we get about 30 minutes per flight.
And as we said, like it flies, it can fly around 50 miles an hour. I mean, it technically can fly 55 miles an hour, but we'll go with 50. Again, we always try to go a little more conservative. But if you're talking about not 55 miles an hour turning down cars, lanes, and streets like this, and you're talking about as the crow flies, that thing can return back to its dock pretty fast.
Can you tell me what the maintenance cost on this thing would be on a yearly basis, and what kind of lifetime can we expect from these drones?
Yeah, great question. We kind of plan about a 3-year life cycle for them, and I think the drone itself is still okay, but the newer models come up and they have more features and more safety features and better capabilities. So we kind of plan about a 3-year life cycle, and we're actually in the process, again, of transitioning to the current fleet, which we bought about 2.5 years ago. So we actually bought them about the summer of 2.5 years ago. So we're coming up on 3 years here in the next few months. Yep. And then maintenance is actually very minimal, except the batteries. When you have to, the batteries are good for about 80 to 100 hours, and then you have to replace the batteries, and those are a little expensive. They could be about $500 each for them.
But overall, I mean, like if you think about this in terms of other technology that like we might have, it's kind of like, your iPhone starts to get a little glitchy after a couple of years, and you're like, oh, Apple's done it to me again. Yep. Time to get a new one. But also, the technology changes and the upgrades and updates are important, and so that's a 36-month life cycle is on point.
Yeah.
Are you following the use of drones in the Ukraine war? They've been very successful, but the Russians have also found ways to interfere with the controls. And so they substituted a fine wire, plastic wire, that could go for a couple of miles. Yep. But are you following that? It would seem to me that sophisticated crooks, yep, after a while, will find a way to interfere with your drone controls. Yep. And that you have to have some provision for dealing with that.
Yep. Yeah, great question. We are absolutely watching what's going on overseas, and not only from that concern, but also just from a homeland security concern with what we're seeing. So we're paying very much attention to that. The federal government is investing in some grants for drone detection that they've talked about publicly. I think if we got to the point where we were concerned that they were kind of going to get like hijacked or taken over, we obviously wouldn't use them. We still have officers on the ground that would go out and handle those calls. So luckily, we haven't seen anything. There is encryption between the signals, and there's a high degree in there. Certainly, a nation state could maybe do some stuff, but we're watching very much what's going on overseas, but I haven't had any specific issues here.
Could you say more about the drone operators and their training and their work shifts?
Sure. Yeah, so the current ones we have are all sworn officers, but they're not, as was mentioned, they're not detailed there. We have a staffing shortage, so they have full-time jobs, and then they can come up when they're not doing their other assignments. So their initial training, again, they're all police officers. So a big part of this is when you're talking to people on the phone, you're confirming crimes. You kind of do need to have a law enforcement background and authority to say, hey, yes, that's a person we should stop and detain, or no, that's not, or yes, a crime was committed, or no, it wasn't. And then we make them get their pilot's license. It's called a Part 107 before they even can apply to be a pilot with us.
Right.
And that's a knowledge test with the FAA. After they pass that, we put them through a 40-hour school, and we use NIST, actually right down the street here, National Institute of Standards and Technology, develop test methods for certification, so we make them do those types of proficiencies. And then we give them kind of the practical application, how do you do law enforcement and public safety missions with it. And that's just for like the Overwatch, not DFR side. We make them get a few months of experience to do like a kind of the basic school, and then we'll have them come back and do a drone as first responder school, which is another 2 days. And then we do like a field training where we evaluate them on a number of calls and give them feedback. So I hope that answered your question. And we're also doing, I've been going to conferences since 2018. Obviously, you learn a lot more from other people around you. Our state has some working groups.
Yes.
And there's a lot of activity and resources out there to learn more.
Yep.
Back to the man that was cutting his way into the container.
Yes.
He spent an awful lot of trouble and time cutting into that container. What was in it?
Oh, so that was a storage container down for the Purple Line construction. So there were lots of high-value tools and apparatus in there. Yeah.
And it was pretty quick, but they actually said it was a disturbance call. So a resident just said, hey, I hear metal grinding. It's kind of weird. It kind of came in as almost like a noise complaint.
Yeah.
Which again, maybe the drone gets there and goes, hey, I don't see anything. They'll call the complainant, hey, there's nothing going on and we cancel this call. Or they get there and they see somebody cutting the locks to a container at a construction site and they go, we need to come and bring K9 and here's where you're going to set up to try to corral this person and take them into custody.
Yeah. We got sparks flying.
Yep.
Bring everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
After watching this in the beginning, it sounds like George Jetson with the Jetsons. I'm really impressed with this and very, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Thank you.
You spoke about cost-benefit analysis that was being performed by some of the prospective departments you're working with, but what cost-benefit analysis do y'all go through and document for the department and for the county council?
Yeah, since I get to approve the budget. For us, it's, well, you have your manpower time, right? And when we know we're able to be much more efficient and we're able to get faster and we're getting better information to the patrol officers as they're responding, which just having that better information is great because then you're teeing up everything from go in a much better fashion. And I look at it truthfully, not just as a cost benefit analysis with the police department, but when you're taking the case from incident occurs all the way through prosecution, right? What value are we providing to the people? And in this case, like the amount of calls that end up getting cleared or people getting back out on patrol who don't have to respond to a call that has come in by 911 is pretty high. So we're able to do things more efficiently and faster. And also, like I mentioned, with the news story that covered the stabbing case, which was the first one that went to a jury trial, like I said, all the other ones pled out. That's time not spent in court for our officers testifying. That's a successful conclusion to a solid prosecution that didn't involve our officers having to go to court. So all of that factors into that cost-benefit analysis in terms of thinking, knowing that we just simply, and you can't overtime your way out of a staffing shortage, right? People burn out. So this is a huge, huge helpful thing for our department and for our people.
Yeah, and if I could just add one more thing. It's not the only metric, but one of the big metrics is response time, as we talked about. And historically, before this program, if the county council or the county executive said, hey, we want to cut this response time down, or hey, your response time has gone up because you're down 200 officers, the only answer that a police chief would usually give was, well, we need to hire more officers, right? That's how you get your response time down, is you need more people. Well, officers are very expensive. People are very expensive. This is a very low cost compared to hiring a bunch of people way to lower your response times. But with the staffing shortage. We're not even able, even if they said, yeah, it's not a money issue, we don't have the people issue right now. So response times, to get that number down at all, we need to look to technology to help us be much more efficient to get on scene faster, because just even, it's not stroking a check to get those
Right.
times changed. You got to find a better way to do it, and I think we found a really good solution.
Yep.
When you talk about better technology, are you thinking better cameras to get better resolution? I would think that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always advances in the camera technology, and the thing for me about the new ones that are about to be put into play is that they come with a system for the mapping that's like 3D. And so, like, what's there now looks more like Google Maps, and what's coming is more like 3D. And I am not a video game player, but for those who are, or I might have 4 teenagers, it's really a super sharp way to navigate and see things on the way that the video display is for the tool, getting to the address that's programmed in, and gives you a more physically accurate look at what a building is, as opposed to like a Google Maps.
I think if there are any more questions, perhaps Councilmember Ludke and Captain Galadara would be able to stay and answer a few questions from the front of the stage. But as of now, our time is up, so let's give them a warm Asbury thank you. So I'd like to let you know about our next event here at the Keese School. Our next presenter will be Tim Kirkjian. Tim was born and raised in Montgomery County, but he is nationally known as an analyst on ESPN's Baseball Tonight and Sports Center. He is highly regarded for his wit and deep knowledge and love of baseball. So I bet even those of you who are not big baseball fans will enjoy this presentation. So we hope to see you on Monday, February